Edgar Cayce was the one who told me to get my regression. Hey guys, it's John here in my studio. I've been talking to some people about my own personal journey, about my learning about my past life and all that experience. And I often share that I had 19 psychics tell me about the past life before I finally went and got a regression. The reason this was is because I'm a very stubborn individual. And at that time, I was very much not putting a lot of faith in readers telling me anything. They kept telling me, they kept walking up to me, grabbing my arm and saying things out of the blue. And what was so interesting to me was there came a point where I was just so tired of hearing it from readers all over the place. And I literally said, send me a direct sign. I asked God to send me a direct sign. And a buddy came in and he handed me this book, Edgar Cayce on the Millennium by Jeff Stern. And I was like, oh, well, that'll be interesting to see what Edgar Cayce has to say about the millennium. Didn't think anything about it, and I started reading it. I got to page 32. There is soon to come into the world a body that to many has been representative of a sect, a thought, of a philosophy, yet one beloved of all men in all places where the university of God in the earth has been proclaimed. There, the oneness of the Father is known and is magnified in the activities of individuals who proclaim the rising day of the Lord. Hence that one, John, the beloved in the earth, his name shall again be John. You ask where and when is to be his one. In the hearts and minds who have set themselves in that position that they become channel through which spiritual, mental, and material things become one with the purpose and desire of that physical body, beginning of the new age of spiritual awakening. So when you look at what he's saying here, and Jeff Stern has a little quote in here where he says, Jesus was to have his forerunner, said Cayce, John, the beloved of Christ, who was sat by his side. That's Jeff Stern's commentary on what Cayce said. But Cayce doesn't say it that way, so it's a very different thing. But when you look at what's said here, I find it really interesting because as I read this, I was very representative of a sect. I was a representative of Catholicism. And yet everywhere I went, I was able to be friends with anybody from any religion. I never had an issue with race, creed, color, or sex. After an epiphany I had much later on, and I love that where it says here, there the oneness of the Father is known and is magnified in the activities of individuals who will proclaim the rising day of the Lord. There the oneness of the Father is known. I am always talking about oneness, and it is one of the key teachings that I come out of Jeshua's work. The idea that he says here, the oneness of the Father is known and is magnified in the activities of individuals who proclaim the rising day of the Lord. In other words, is magnified in the people who are stepping into their oneness and rising us all up back into a oneness, because God is one, the Father is one, the Father and I are one. But then when it goes down a little further, it says, you ask when and where is to be his one. In the hearts and minds of those who have set themselves in that position, that they become channel through which spiritual, mental, and material things become one in the purpose and desire of that physical body, beginning the new age of spiritual awakening. It talks about the idea that coming back to your oneness and talking about creation and manifestation, not necessarily a word that I use that often, but it comes back to the idea that the people who are stepping into their divinity, they are creating from the perspective of spiritual, mental, and material. They're creating things into their world. They're literally healing themselves. They're stepping into that energy where they're opening up to the source of God and is channeling through them into a physical reality. And to me, I think this is a beautiful statement. But the reason I ended up having my regression was after reading that, knowing that it fit me and was one of my personal truths, and knowing that, John the Beloved will get me named John, and 19 psychics had just told me I was John the Beloved, and the book was written called John of Old, John of New. Um, I was very much in this space of, oh my gosh, this is the thing. So this was the impetus that had me go get a regression, so that I could get a direct experience without a psychic telling me or someone else telling me. I wanted someone to have to regress me personally, so I would have a personal experience. And this little book was the pathway for me to go out and get that done, because this little book became the the doorway for me, and the thing that I could put faith in to say, that's my direct sign to go ahead and do this. And so I just wanted to share this story, and I want you to realize that I'm not trying to put myself up into a big position of authority. I think we're all equal, we're all one. But I think it does talk about people who are stepping up and opening up to spiritual, mental, and material channeling of information, and specifically for their own physical self. People who step up to channel for the mental, spiritual, and material that are in alignment with that physical body. In other words, with themselves. They step into their divinity and they start creating. And I think that's what we see. If you look at the testimonials page, you'll see people healing themselves, talking about it. You listen to the comments section, you'll see story after story of people who are stepping into their own power, knowing that they are creating. And that is what I teach, what I talk about. And I think it's important to realize um, that all of us have that power. All of us are stepping into that power. And the ones who are afraid of that power are the ones who are getting loud and who are screaming and yelling and hollering and making it a more difficult time only for themselves, because if we choose not to be affected by it, then it just goes away. It really does. People say, well, that doesn't go away if you don't address it. Addressing it is turning the other cheek. Addressing it is literally not feeding it. And that is addressing it by not giving it the energy to thrive. And that's my thought on this. And that's why I did go get my regression eventually, because Mr. Edgar Cayce told me so. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.